Have you ever wondered how quickly life can change? One ordinary moment, one unexpected decision, and a Hollywood legend is gone forever. Some of the biggest stars in entertainment didn't die from illness or old age. They lost their lives in sudden, devastating accidents that shocked the entire world. From high-speed car crashes and tragic motorcycle collisions to horrifying helicopter disasters, these heartbreaking moments left millions of fans in disbelief. Today, we'll remember the incredible lives of Paul Walker, James Dean, Grace Kelly, Jayne Mansfield, Anton Yelchin, Anne Heche, Ryan Dunn, Treat Williams, and other unforgettable stars whose lives ended far too soon in tragic accidents. We'll take a closer look at what really happened in their final moments, the official investigations, and the remarkable legacies they left behind. So, let's begin. Hollywood was left heartbroken on June 12, 2023, when acclaimed actor Treat Williams tragically lost his life at the age of 71 in a devastating motorcycle accident in Dorset, Vermont. According to investigators, Treat was riding his 1986 Honda VT 700C motorcycle when an SUV attempting to make a left turn crossed directly into his path. With almost no time to react, the motorcycle slammed into the vehicle with tremendous force, throwing Treat from his bike and causing catastrophic injuries. Emergency responders rushed to the scene within minutes and immediately recognized the seriousness of his condition. He was airlifted to Albany Medical Center in New York, where a team of doctors fought to save his life. Despite every effort, Treat Williams was pronounced dead shortly after arriving at the hospital, due to the severe injuries he suffered in the crash. Authorities later confirmed that speed and alcohol were not factors, and the accident occurred because the driver failed to yield the right-of-way while turning. The heartbreaking news shocked Hollywood, with tributes pouring in from fellow actors, directors, and fans who remembered Treat not only as an extraordinary performer, but also as one of the kindest people in the industry. His family described him as a devoted husband, loving father, and passionate actor whose greatest joy was spending time with those he loved. Before his tragic death, Treat Williams built a remarkable career spanning nearly 5 decades, starring in more than 120 films and television projects. He became internationally known for his performances in Hair, Everwood, Prince of the City, Deep Rising, and many other acclaimed productions. Although Treat Williams' life ended in a sudden and tragic accident, his unforgettable performances, generosity, and dedication to his craft ensured that his legacy will continue to live on in Hollywood for generations. Hollywood was left in shock on November 30th, 2013, when Paul Walker tragically died at the age of 40 in a devastating high-speed car crash in Santa Clarita, California. The actor had spent the afternoon attending a charity event for Reach Out Worldwide, the disaster relief organization he founded, before leaving with his close friend and professional racing driver, Roger Rodas, in a 2005 Porsche Carrera GT. Just minutes later, while traveling on Hercules Street, the sports car lost control at an extremely high speed, crashed into a concrete lamppost and several trees, then burst into flames. The impact was so violent that the vehicle split apart, leaving almost no chance of survival. Emergency crews arrived within minutes, but both Paul Walker and Roger Rodas were pronounced dead at the scene. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner later confirmed that Paul Walker died from the combined effects of traumatic injuries and burns, while the manner of death was ruled an accident. Investigators concluded that the crash was caused by unsafe speed, estimated at more than 100 miles per hour in a 45-mile-per-hour zone, and confirmed that neither alcohol nor drugs played a role in the accident. The heartbreaking news spread around the world within hours, leaving millions of fans in disbelief. Tributes poured in from fellow actors, filmmakers, and friends, especially from the Fast and Furious cast, who described Paul as a loyal friend, devoted father, and one of the kindest people in Hollywood. Before his tragic death, Paul Walker became an international superstar through his unforgettable role as Brian O'Connor in the Fast and Furious franchise. He also starred in films including Into the Blue, 8 Below, Joyride, and Running Scared. Although Paul Walker's life ended far too soon at just 40 years old, his legacy continues to live on through his films, his humanitarian work, and the millions of fans who still remember him as one of Hollywood's most beloved stars. Hollywood suffered one of its earliest and most tragic losses on September 30th, 1955, when James Dean was killed in a devastating car accident at just 24 years old. The young actor was driving his brand new Porsche 550 Spyder, nicknamed Little Bastard, on California State Route 46 near Chalame, California, while traveling to a sports car race. At approximately 5:45 p.m., a 1950 Ford Tudor, driven by 23-year-old college student Donald Turnipseed, made a left turn directly into Dean's path. Traveling at high speed, James Dean had almost no time to avoid the collision. His Porsche slammed into the side of the Ford with tremendous force, completely destroying the lightweight sports car. The impact threw Dean from his seat, causing catastrophic injuries to his neck, chest, and internal organs. Emergency responders rushed him to Paso Robles War Memorial Hospital. But despite desperate efforts by doctors, James Dean was pronounced dead shortly after arriving. He was only 24 years old. His passenger, racing mechanic Rolf Wutherick, survived with serious injuries, while the driver of the other vehicle escaped with relatively minor injuries. The California Highway Patrol investigated the crash and concluded that the collision occurred when the other driver turned left across Dean's lane, leaving him no opportunity to avoid the impact. James Dean's sudden death shocked Hollywood and instantly turned him into a cultural icon. Thousands of grieving fans gathered to pay tribute, and newspapers around the world covered the tragedy for weeks. Before his life was cut short, James Dean had appeared in only 3 major films: East of Eden, Rebel Without a Cause, and Giant. Yet those performances changed Hollywood forever. His rebellious screen presence, emotional depth, and natural acting style made him one of cinema's greatest legends. Although his career lasted only a few years, James Dean's tragic death at 24 years old transformed him into one of the most enduring symbols of youth, talent, and unrealized potential in film history. Hollywood was left in mourning on September 14, 1982, when Grace Kelly, the Academy Award-winning actress who became Princess Grace of Monaco, tragically died at the age of 52 following a devastating car accident in the mountains of Monaco. On the morning of September 13th, Grace was driving her 1980 Rover SD1 with her youngest daughter, Princess Stephanie, from their family home in Roc Agel back to the Prince's Palace in Monaco. While traveling down the steep and winding roads above Monte Carlo, Grace suddenly suffered a stroke, causing her to lose control of the vehicle. The car crashed through a roadside barrier before plunging nearly 120 feet down a mountainside, rolling several times before coming to rest among trees. Rescue teams rushed to the scene and worked desperately to free Grace and Princess Stephanie from the wreckage. Both were taken to Princess Grace Hospital in Monaco, where doctors fought to save the princess. Stephanie survived with multiple fractures and injuries, but Grace had suffered catastrophic brain trauma and severe internal injuries. Despite emergency surgery and intensive medical treatment, doctors determined that the damage caused by the stroke and crash was irreversible. On September 14th, 1982, after consultation with the royal family, life support was withdrawn, and Princess Grace passed away at the age of 52. The official cause of death was complications from a cerebral hemorrhage, or stroke, that led to the fatal car crash, with the accident causing devastating head and internal injuries. The tragic news shocked the entire world, and millions mourned the loss of one of Hollywood's most elegant stars and one of Europe's most beloved royals. Leaders, celebrities, and members of royal families from around the world attended her state funeral at St. Nicholas Cathedral in Monaco. Before the tragedy, Grace Kelly had become one of Hollywood's brightest stars, winning the Academy Award for Best Actress for The Country Girl, and delivering unforgettable performances in classics such as Rear Window, Dial M for Murder, High Society, and To Catch a Thief, before leaving Hollywood to marry Prince Rainier III of Monaco in 1956. Although Grace Kelly's life ended in heartbreaking circumstances, her timeless films, humanitarian work, and royal legacy continue to make her one of the most admired women in both Hollywood and world history. Hollywood was stunned on June 29, 1967, when Jayne Mansfield tragically lost her life at just 34 years old in one of the most horrifying car accidents in entertainment history. Late that night, Jayne was traveling from Biloxi, Mississippi to New Orleans, Louisiana, in a 1966 Buick Electra after finishing a nightclub performance. She was accompanied by her attorney and companion, Sam Brody, driver Ronald Harrison, and 3 of her young children, who were asleep in the back seat. Around 2:25 a.m., while driving along U.S. Highway 90, the car approached a tractor-trailer that had slowed behind a mosquito fogging truck. Because of poor visibility caused by the insecticide fog and the darkness of the highway, the driver failed to notice the nearly stopped truck until it was too late. The Buick crashed directly into the rear of the trailer at high speed with tremendous force. The impact completely crushed the front of the car, instantly killing Jayne Mansfield, Sam Brody, and Ronald Harrison. Emergency responders rushed to the scene, but all 3 adults in the front seat were pronounced dead instantly. Jayne's 3 children, who had been sleeping in the back seat, miraculously survived with relatively minor injuries, although they were left traumatized by the devastating accident. The official investigation concluded that driver inattention, poor visibility caused by mosquito fogging operations, and excessive speed were major factors in the crash. The tragedy became one of the deadliest celebrity accidents in Hollywood history, and eventually led to an important safety change across the United States. Following the accident, federal transportation authorities required large tractor-trailers to be fitted with rear underride guards, commonly known as Mansfield bars, to help prevent passenger vehicles from sliding underneath trailers during rear-end collisions. Before her tragic death, Jayne Mansfield became one of Hollywood's biggest sex symbols during the 1950s and 1960s, starring in films including The Girl Can't Help It, Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter, and The Wayward Bus. Although her life ended at only 34 years old, Jayne Mansfield's legacy lives on, not only through her films, but also through a vehicle safety innovation that has helped save countless lives around the world. Hollywood was left in complete shock on June 19, 2016, when Anton Yelchin tragically died at just 27 years old in a heartbreaking accident outside his home in Studio City, Los Angeles. In the early hours of the morning, Anton had stepped out of his 2015 Jeep Grand Cherokee after parking on the steep driveway of his house. For reasons later investigated by authorities, the SUV suddenly rolled backward. Anton became trapped between the moving vehicle and a brick security pillar attached to a metal gate. The tremendous force pinned him against the structure, causing catastrophic chest and abdominal injuries. Friends became concerned after Anton failed to arrive for a scheduled film rehearsal, and when they went to check on him, they made the devastating discovery. Emergency responders rushed to the scene, but Anton had already died from his injuries before help could arrive. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner later confirmed that his official cause of death was blunt traumatic asphyxia, and the manner of death was ruled an accident. Investigators later found that the Jeep's electronic gear selector had been the subject of safety complaints because its confusing design could make drivers believe the vehicle was in park when it was not. Following Anton's death, Fiat Chrysler recalled more than 1.1 million vehicles worldwide to modify the gearshift system, and his family later reached a confidential settlement with the automaker. The tragedy shocked Hollywood because Anton was widely regarded as one of the most talented young actors of his generation, with a career that was only beginning to reach new heights. Before his untimely death, he became internationally known for playing Pavel Chekhov in the Star Trek reboot films, and delivered acclaimed performances in Like Crazy, Green Room, Alpha Dog, Fright Night, and Charlie Bartlett. At only 27 years old, Anton Yelchin's extraordinary talent and promising future were taken away in a tragic accident. But his unforgettable performances and remarkable legacy continue to inspire audiences around the world. Hollywood was left heartbroken on August 12, 2022, when Anne Heche tragically passed away at the age of 53 following a devastating car crash in Los Angeles, California. On August 5th, Anne was driving her Mini Cooper through the Mar Vista neighborhood when her vehicle suddenly sped out of control, crashed into a residential home, and erupted into a massive fire. The impact was so violent that the car became engulfed in flames within seconds, trapping Anne inside the burning vehicle. Firefighters battled the intense blaze for more than 1 hour before they were finally able to rescue her from the wreckage. She was rushed to the Grossman Burn Center at West Hills Hospital in critical condition, suffering severe burns, smoke inhalation injuries, and a catastrophic brain injury caused by a lack of oxygen. Despite receiving intensive medical treatment for several days, doctors confirmed that the brain damage was irreversible. On August 11th, Anne was declared legally brain dead, allowing her organs to be donated according to her wishes. After organ donation was completed, life support was withdrawn, and Anne Heche passed away on August 12, 2022. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner later confirmed that her official cause of death was inhalation injury and thermal injuries, with blunt force trauma from the crash listed as a significant contributing factor. Her death was ruled an accident. The tragedy shocked Hollywood and sparked worldwide discussion about road safety, emergency response, and organ donation. Tributes poured in from fellow actors, directors, and fans who remembered Anne as a fearless performer with extraordinary talent. Before her tragic death, Anne Heche built a remarkable career spanning more than 3 decades, starring in films including Donnie Brasco, 6 Days, 7 Nights, Volcano, John Q, and the television series Men in Trees. Although Anne Heche's life ended in a heartbreaking accident at 53 years old, her unforgettable performances, resilience, and final act of saving lives through organ donation ensured that her legacy will never be forgotten. Hollywood was left in shock on June 20th, 2011, when Ryan Dunn tragically lost his life at just 34 years old in a horrific car crash in West Goshen Township, Pennsylvania. In the early hours of the morning, Ryan was driving his 2007 Porsche 911 GT3 with his close friend Zachary Hartwell as a passenger after leaving a local bar. According to the official investigation, the Porsche was traveling at an estimated 132 to 140 miles per hour in a 55-mile-per-hour zone when Ryan lost control of the vehicle. The sports car veered off the road, smashed through a guardrail, struck several trees, and burst into flames after the violent impact. The collision was so severe that the vehicle was almost completely destroyed, leaving emergency responders with no chance of saving either occupant. Ryan Dunn and Zachary Hartwell were both pronounced dead at the scene. The Chester County coroner later confirmed that Ryan died from blunt force trauma and thermal injuries sustained in the crash. Investigators also revealed that Ryan's blood alcohol concentration was 0.196%, more than twice Pennsylvania's legal driving limit, and concluded that excessive speed and alcohol impairment were the primary causes of the fatal accident. His sudden death devastated millions of fans and shocked the entertainment industry. Friends and co-stars, including Johnny Knoxville, Steve-O, Bam Margera, Chris Pontius, and the entire Jackass family paid emotional tributes, remembering Ryan as one of the funniest and most fearless members of the franchise. Before his tragic death, Ryan Dunn became internationally famous through Jackass, Viva La Bam, Jackass No. 2, Jackass 3D, and numerous MTV projects, earning a reputation for his outrageous stunts, fearless personality, and unforgettable sense of humor. Although Ryan Dunn's life ended at just 34 years old, his impact on comedy, stunt entertainment, and pop culture continues to be remembered by fans around the world. The music world was left in shock in 2026 when 32-year-old artist Oliver Tree died in a tragic helicopter crash in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. The accident happened on June 14, 2026, during his world tour. Reports stated that 2 helicopters collided in midair, causing both aircraft to crash. Everyone on board was killed, including Oliver Tree. Emergency teams rushed to the crash site, but there were no survivors. The incident immediately became one of the most heartbreaking entertainment tragedies of 2026 because Oliver was still actively performing, creating music, and connecting with fans around the world. Authorities launched an investigation into the crash to determine what caused the 2 helicopters to collide. Investigators examined flight details and the circumstances before the accident, but the final reason behind the collision was still being reviewed. The news shocked millions of fans because Oliver Tree was only 32 years old, and his career was still growing. His sudden death ended the journey of an artist who was known for his unusual style, creative performances, and fearless personality. Oliver Tree became internationally famous with songs like Life Goes On, Miss You, and Alien Boy. His unique appearance, experimental music, and different approach to entertainment made him one of the most recognizable alternative artists of his generation. His death left behind a huge fan base and a creative legacy that proved being different could become a person's greatest strength. Oliver Tree's story ended suddenly, but the music and memories he created will continue to live on. The Monsterverse is mourning the heartbreaking loss of one of its brightest young stars. Kaylee Hottle, the deaf actress who won millions of hearts as Gia in Godzilla vs. Kong and Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire, has tragically died at just 18 years old following a car crash in Ijamsville, Maryland, in the early hours of July 21, 2026. According to the Frederick County Sheriff's Office, the crash happened just before 3 o'clock in the morning in Ijamsville, Maryland. Kaylee was riding in a 1995 Honda Accord with two other people when the car lost control, went off the road, and crashed into a concrete drainage culvert. Kaylee was critically injured and suffered cardiac arrest, while emergency crews were airlifting her to the hospital. The Maryland Office of the Chief Medical Examiner later confirmed that Kaylee died from multiple blunt force injuries, and the death was ruled accidental. Despite their efforts, she could not be saved. The 19-year-old driver survived the crash and was taken to a nearby hospital with minor injuries. The other passenger was examined by emergency responders at the scene and did not need to be hospitalized. Authorities say the exact cause of the crash is still under investigation, but excessive speed is believed to have been a contributing factor. Kaylee's father, Joshua Hottle, confirmed the devastating news in an emotional American Sign Language video. He revealed that Kaylee suffered cardiac arrest while being airlifted to the hospital and could not be revived. Despite suffering the greatest loss a parent can imagine, Joshua Hottle chose compassion over hatred. Addressing the young driver involved in the crash, he said, "I have forgiven you. Don't let this tragedy ruin the rest of your life." His message wasn't about forgetting what happened. It was about choosing forgiveness instead of anger. Kaylee came from a 4-generation deaf family and was a native user of American Sign Language. She attended the Texas School for the Deaf, where she excelled both academically and as a track and field athlete. Long before Hollywood discovered her, she dreamed of showing the world that deaf actors belonged on the biggest stages. That dream came true in 2021 when legendary casting director Sarah Hallie Finn cast her as Gia in Godzilla vs. Kong. With almost no spoken dialogue, Kaylee created one of the franchise's most emotional characters. A brave young girl whose unbreakable bond with Kong touched audiences around the world. She returned in Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire, earning widespread praise and a Saturn Award nomination for her performance. Although her journey was tragically short, Kaylee Hottle changed Hollywood forever. Through her warmth, talent, and authentic representation of the deaf community, she inspired millions around the world and proved that true connection needs no spoken words. Rest in peace, Kaylee Hottle. Your bond with Kong, your courage, and your unforgettable smile will live on forever.